Let's hear what that sounds like. I'll just do a little pentatonic thing in D minor. Not bad, right? Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Lauren Cooper, and today we are going to be looking at the Space Echo, but not the original. We're looking at the new release from Boss, new to me anyway, the RE-202. So this is supposed to be a recreation of the Boss RE-201. I don't have an actual RE-201, but I do have a real deal Roland RE-150 Space Echo. And that's basically the same thing minus the reverb, a little bit of EQ. So the preamp and all that, like it's the same, the tape goes through. It's a magical unit. I love this thing. Love this thing. And I'm always on the lookout for a great pedal that will emulate it. And I haven't been able to find one yet. Everyone's been focused on the EP2 and like all the, the Benson Echo record. These are all great units. But I love this, and I want this on my board. Because taking this, that's not gonna happen. So we're gonna unbox this sucker right now. By the way, if you dig the shirt, I designed it myself. Playtime, check it out in the links down below if you want to support me or the channel. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and let's get into the video. So let's check it out. Today we have the Boss turn it around. The Boss RE-202 Space Echo, brand new in the box. Whoopity-doo. We all know what a box looks like. Open it up, you've got the manual, awesome. You've got the power supply, cool. And then the unit itself, so let's just take that out. Ta-da! Lovely. There's the unit. So, as you can see, I mean, it's really beautiful, and it looks a lot like the actual unit. I have taken it out, and I've tried it at the store, and they just basically packaged that one up because that was the last one that they had. So you see it's a little dusty for whatever reason, but that's it. Now we're gonna plug this sucker in and let's see how it sounds, and we'll compare it to the actual RE-150. We'll compare it to the RE-150 that I have, and we'll see how it compares in terms of tone. All right, let's plug in a guitar. All right. We are all powered up on this guy and ready to go. So let's go through the controls and what we've got here. This is the on and off switch, which can also, if you hold it, it's called the warp, memory, or if you hold it, it's the reverb, tap tempo, or if you hold it, it's twist. So they're dual functional buttons. They're silent buttons, so it doesn't have that click. Here we have saturation, which, to my dismay, is saturation just for the repeat. Not for the original signal. So this will give you saturation on the delay signal itself. Wow and flutter combined in one knob. These are the different settings, the different types of delays and combination of delay heads. You've got the bass, treble. Again, this just affects the echo, not the direct signal. And the reverb, we're gonna leave the reverb off for now. Repeat rate, intensity, and echo volume. All pretty self-explanatory. Let's just look at the inputs here. So if you look at the inputs, here you've got the regular mono input, input B if you have two inputs, mono out if you want to go stereo out, and an expression if you want to add an expression pedal to control. You can control several functions, as my understanding. Most commonly would be the level of the delay. Okay, and then you have a MIDI in and out as well, and a little USB, mini USB for, I guess, updates. Okay. So let's just go through some of the sounds. Now I typically use the RE-150 as a straight on, like anywhere from 425 beats per minute to 525 beats per minute, depending on the song, like a long single delay. That's kind of how I use it. I don't really use the multi-heads, even though you absolutely can. And we'll go through that and experiment a little bit. But let's just see how it sounds right off the bat. So I'm going to adjust the volume on the amplifier so it's not too loud and it doesn't over saturate the mics. All right, there we go. All right, so the thing that I'll notice right off the bat, because I have an actual unit, I think I'm more qualified than most to actually speak to it, is that there's a percussive nature to the repeats on this machine, and you'll hear it a little bit later, in that there's a front end that's missing on a lot of the units that try to replicate these tape delays. And there's a percussiveness to it, and this actually has it. There's a presence. So that's nice. All right, let's go through the saturation right now. We'll put everything kind of at 12 o'clock and leave that off. So this is typically where I would actually have it in terms of a delay. Very nice natural tone. Let's turn the saturation all the way off. Maybe turn the wow and flutter off too. So it sounds quite digital and sterile, to be honest. But let's turn the saturation up to, I guess, 9 o'clock. Okay, a little bit of hair. Let's go 12. You can definitely hear the crunch. Okay, let's go, and I'm going to up the echo volume a little bit, just so we can really exaggerate and hear the echo, because that's what this is all about. All right, let's go to 3 o'clock. It's quite dirty, and then here. I personally would never use it there, but you know, if you were looking for different textures, you might go for that. I like it maybe a little bit affected, just so it just warms it up a little bit. So good. So that sounds a little bit more natural and tapey, kind of anywhere from 12 o'clock to, I guess that'd be 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock on the dial there. That's where I would kind of keep it. All right, now let's talk about wow and flutter. Now wow and flutter's off. Let's turn the saturation off again. Keep it fairly sterile and clean so we can hear the wow and flutter. So this is off. Let's turn that to 9 o'clock. Not that pronounced. Let's move it up. You can definitely hear it more now. Now, another thing to note is here with this switch, this is still on a new tape. You can make it an aged tape, which will actually make it more like a stronger kind of wow and flutter. But right now, let's just keep it on age. So let's go to 3 o'clock and see what that sounds like. So right away, from 12 to 3 o'clock is where you start to really hear the difference. Let's go back to 12 o'clock. You can hear it a little bit. Once you go to 3, and what I like about it is that it's not exact. There's a variety in the repeat. The thing that, you know, often they'll get wrong is that with tape, because it's a large spool of tape that goes through, sometimes you'll have a little imperfection in different sections of the tape, so it's not the same every time for every repeat. And they made that accurate in this, I can hear. So let's go all the way up just to hear it. So you hear there's variety every time I play it. It's a little bit different. Cool. So again, depending on how you want it, there's a huge variety. I say the largest difference in sweep is between 12 and 3 o'clock. I mean, here, really between kind of even 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, really 12 and 3, that's the sweet spot to find somewhere in there. That makes sense if you want a little bit of chorusing in the tape, so it doesn't quite sound so sterile, I guess. That's pretty cool. And then if you put the saturation up to around that 3 o'clock, or sorry, that 9 o'clock. So right off the bat, I'm not even messing with the EQ or anything. I can really hear that, it's really easy to dial in some good tones with this. My first experience with it in the store was not great. Again, you're in a music store, you can't really tell what's going on with all the different noise in the background. So this is pretty cool. I'm very impressed, and you can definitely dial in bass and treble. Let's go with that. So let's go with this setting right now. Let's hear the difference actually between, let's take the saturation off, and let's go to aged tape. Darker. Interesting. So let's go back to off with aged. New. Brighter, and then aged. There's a dark, I wouldn't say muffled, but there's definitely a darkness and a warmth that's added to, it's not as present with the aged, which I find to be rather true, maybe not in the way that they're doing it. That's aged, this is new. So it takes off some of the top end and brilliance. Let's go to 12. Let's go to that 3 o'clock setting, that's pretty exaggerated. Let's go to new. So it lessens the chorusing. It sounds like there's a blanket put over the tone. Let's make it aged. So what I would say is actually, and I noticed this and I really enjoy analog delays as well, is that if you have a delay that's too present, it'll step over your notes and the sound overall will get really mushy and muddy, and the actual direct guitar signal will get lost, especially if you're soloing. So here's the difference between new and aged right now. Let's hear what that sounds like. I'll just do a little pentatonic thing in D minor. Not bad, right? You can definitely hear it, and again, you can adjust the echo volume and all that, but let's hear that compared to the aged. So it ducks it in, sort of like a ducking delay. It buries it a little bit in the mix, so it's not as present as your original signal. And that's really normally what happens on faster runs, busier runs. Let's make it new again. So again, not that bad as it is, but it sounds like it's ducking, definitely, and I'm overplaying notes there just so that you can see the difference in how the repeat interferes or not, okay? So that's great. Let's go back to new. I kind of like it to be a little bit more brilliant. And I put it there. Again, we didn't even have the saturation on, so I kind of like it there. Great. So the repeat rate, obviously, that's where we're at right now. You can hear it ramping up and down, which is cool. This, you can also just use the tap tempo for that if you want. But I'm here. All right, great. Now intensity. 1 repeat, or if you want it to repeat 1,000,000 times, it increases. Now when you hear guys play with the actual knobs on pedals. That's cool, that's fun when you're in your bedroom, but generally speaking, when you're live, unless it's like the last note of a solo or the song, you're not going to be messing with that stuff. So that's fun, but it's not practical for me. Intensity-wise, that works, okay? Echo volume, obviously, you can turn it off. No echo volume, middle, or all the way. It's actually louder than the original signal. So I like to have it just below the original signal, maybe a little less. That way it's not interfering. Cool. Now let's talk about bass. Let's take the bass out of the signal. Now to my ear, that's really what a tape, not a tape echo, a tape delay. What is it called? The EP3, what are those things called? The EP2 and the EP3. Those are Echoplex, yeah, doink. Flashlight, or flashbulb moment, light bulb. So that sort of sound where it's really rolling off the bass is more of an Echoplex sound in my mind. And that does work to duck out underneath. But I love the Echoplex, but this is really my baby. This is what I'm talking about. And this tends to be a little bit more like an analog delay in that it actually rolls off the treble and brings up the bass. So let's emulate that. Well, let's just see where the controls are. So at maximum bass now. 12 o'clock. Okay, so you can definitely hear it. It's a little more subtle. Treble, let's roll that off. Let's maximize it. Okay, obviously not my sound right there. It almost has like a digital artifact on the top end of it. So especially with an older tape, it'll tend to do that a little bit more as well. And I like it when it rolls off some of the top end. It makes it duck under the note even better. It's like what we talked about in the aged versus new tape switch. I actually like it sounding better, and we have more control over it on the EQ. So I'll leave it on the new, and then I'll use the EQ to roll off some of the top end. That way the note still stays, there's a brilliance to the note, and it still stays present. Doesn't sound like this, like it's under a blanket, but you can control it a little bit more. So really cool unit. So let's go, that's how I would typically use it. I don't do like the edge sort of like delays. But that's my terrible impression of like a U2 kind of thing without the dotted eighth note delays. You can definitely do that though. So I like this setting, that's my thing. But let's go through and hear what they all sound like. So here's one. So that's more of a slapback. I up the echo. I'd even up the treble on that sucker for... So, I mean, the playing's a little sloppy today, what can I say? That's all right. Just having some fun. Yeah, this is a great slap back delay for sure. Again, I haven't even touched the reverb yet. I would put the reverb up a little bit there. Oh, that's nice. Maybe a little less. So that's pretty good right there. All right, let's go to the second setting. So that's the second tape head. That's a little bit further away so that it's a little bit longer. Now, obviously, you can change the rate on each of them. So you can have this as your slap back as well. Right? Or that Robin Ford thing. Alright, again, I'm just going through a clean amp right now. But you've got that range. Each of the heads kind of overlaps a little bit in terms of the beats per minute that you can use. Third, we've already went through that, so I'll skip over that one. Fourth. So the fourth setting there, that's the first and second head together. Let's turn the reverb off again. So you hear ta-ta, ta-ta. So I make it a little, or as a quicker one. It's got more of a boingy kind of sound. All right, number 5, that combines heads 2 and 3. Number 6, that combines heads 1 and 3. Woo! That's quicker. So as you make it a little bit of a longer repeat, you can definitely hear the difference more. Alright, that's got more of a rhythm to it. And again, I'm only doing one repeat. You can up the intensity to up the echo volume as well. There you go. And for things like swells, like you know, if you're doing this kind of thing. If you're doing more ambient guitar stuff, that'll work great for that too. This is all 3 heads, okay? as you can tell. All right, so now number 8. You've got 1 and 4. Number 9, you've got 3 and 4. Okay, it's more of that rhythmic delay stuff. You can still have that as like your sort of background delay. In my mind, that would muddy things up a bit. But it works. Again, you've got 1, 3, and 4 now. So all the different combinations. All right, you've got 1, 2, and 4. There you go. And then you've got your last one, which is all 4 heads. Wow, that's like a machine gun. Let's turn that all the way down, see. So if you've got a weird kind of more of an ambient sort of sound, like lead line, you can do that too. Again, that's with the reverb off. Turn the reverb on. Okay, but like I said, I don't use all that fancy stuff. I just use it as a straight-on kind of delay, kind of around there. So there you go, it sounds great. The other functions that you can have is you can actually, this is on manual mode, but you can actually have memory mode where you have different presets stored in there and go between the different presets. Now the other thing that you can do is have it go into oscillation, for example, like this. Where you hold that button. So there's that. Then with this one, you've got reverb hold, so you can actually turn the reverb on and off, or on. So if you want the reverb on and off. And then this goes through the memory modes if you have that. And then the tap tempo or twist, so check this out. Alright, so you can have a lot of fun with this pedal, and you don't even need your fingers for it. You can just use your feet and your toes. The one downside, I guess, is it is a larger pedal for sure. It's robustly built. I mean, this thing, it feels super duper solid. But it's going to add some weight to your pedal board. But it's a lot less than this. So what I'll do is I'll make a separate video, you can check it out, where I'm comparing this side by side with that pedal to see how they sound tonally. The other thing that I'll say is I know that you can, and it's not set up that way right off the bat, but I know that you can adjust the saturation to emulate sort of the preamp, so that it emulates the direct effect as well, so the direct signal. But let's not worry about that so much right now. Let's just go into what the repeats sound like, and then we can go from there. But I will say, the preamp of this, if they had that as not a back end function, but as an actual pedal or switchable function on the front, that would have been a lot easier, and something that you would want to take in and out, just like the EP boost from Exotic Effects. That's an awesome pedal that emulates kind of that EP preamp. A lot of people sort of plug into just for that. I mean, this has a magical effect on the tone of your guitar for sure. But let's see how they both sound on the next video. In the meantime, I hope this was helpful for you. If you're into Roland Space Echoes, you have one of your own, or you have one of the older or newer units. The New X I have on as well, which is another great unit, very different and smaller. So you can check out that video as well. But I'd love to hear your opinions down below. Leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe if you want to support me in the channel. Pick up a t-shirt, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.